Okay, so yesterday there was a pretty interesting development going on, very surprising when it comes to the talks on the infrastructure bill. Now, of course, there are some pretty heated sides. Joe Manchin is the clear one who is on the right wing spectrum of this. He's refusing to, I forget what his cap is, whether it's 2.5 or 1.5 or something. Bernie Sanders originally wanted 6 trillion over 10 years, but he has now brought it down to 3.5. That was the plan. Start out high and then come to the middle. But Joe Manchin has refused to budge. Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin getting into a fight. Bernie Sanders going so far as to write an op-ed in the hometown paper of his in West Virginia, rallying West Virginians to support the infrastructure bill. And Joe Manchin was very enraged. He went off on him, called him an out-of-stater, and was very angry about this, just like he was with the Kamala Harris situation when she gave an interview in West Virginia. So, something interesting happened. Now, here's what we're going to see. They did seem to be kind of glib or kind of friendly with each other, actually, pretty interestingly enough. So here's what happened. So he met with both, apparently, Pramila Jayapal, who's, chair of the CPC, Congressional Progressive Caucus in the House. Now, here's Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin together. You can see they're both smiling, and they took a picture. Now, it's going to be an interesting video clip you're going to watch. It's going to show it, so go ahead and check this out.
Get a picture. You want to get a picture of us? Get a picture of us, huh? We're talking. All right, we're talking.
You're going to have a resolution by the end of the week?
We're talking. We're talking. We're going to make some progress.
Yeah, so pretty interesting stuff there that you saw. Obviously, it seemed very cordial, very happy, very optimistic. They seemed to be very excited about their talks or just being in each other's presence. Now, why exactly this is the case? Honestly, it's a mystery at this point. But he was clearly, he was like, keep, what did he say? Like, never change or something like that, Bernie. And, they got a picture together smiling and whatnot. Is it a photo op for the pictures? Probably not. Maybe it is on one of their sides, but there's a lot of pressure right now to deliver on this because time is really running out, especially with the midterms coming around. So there's a significant amount of pressure going on right now when it comes to delivering on this infrastructure bill. Now, what exactly could this kind of glib, excited, expression mean? Obviously it means that they're coming towards some kind of agreement of some kind. It's a little bit scary for me, I would say, because it just seems like I'm guessing that the number is probably going to come down in this infrastructure bill. But the thing is, at this point, the infrastructure bill actually has more important things, not more important things, but not just infrastructure specifically, but rather things like, I guess there's a child tax credit in there, as well as, various climate regulations. And I guess Joe Manchin is against the carbon tax. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. That there's also drug negotiating powers. That was also a very important thing too, to bring the cost of prescription drugs down. That would help the average American extremely help them. So honestly, my reaction when I see that is the number's probably coming down. Bernie's probably compromising. I hope that's not the case, but I don't really see any other outcome. I mean, Joe Manchin said that he's optimistic that they'll come to an agreement. Now, this article says Manchin, Sanders to seek deal on Biden agenda. This was today, and it says Senator Joe Manchin, a key figure in the Democratic negotiations over a major human infrastructure spending package, told Democratic colleagues at lunch on Tuesday that he will work with Senate Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders and Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer to reach a deal by week's end, according to sources familiar with the lunch. Manchin said he thought a general agreement would be possible by Friday, sounding a more optimistic tone behind closed doors than he did when asked by reporters earlier in the week about meeting an October 31st deadline for passing legislation. Universally, there was a desire to get this done by the end of the week, said a Democratic senator who participated in the meeting. Manchin told colleagues he would continue to talk with Sanders this week and that he would try to reach an agreement on a general framework for the bill that Democrats plan to pass on a party line vote under budget reconciliation, two sources familiar with the meeting confirmed. A second person familiar with the meeting said the talks will take place between Manchin, Sanders, and centrist Senator Kyrsten Sinema, with Schumer acting as an emissary between the Sanders and his centrist colleagues. The source described the negotiation as a shuttle diplomacy, with Schumer coordinating the talks. There's broad consensus throughout the caucus about getting something by the end of the week, the source said, characterizing the discussion at the lunch about reaching a deal by Friday. The source added that Senate Democrats from left to right voiced support for agreeing on a framework in the next few days. Schumer later described the discussion at the caucus lunch as spirited and passionate and confirmed that Manchin is on board with trying to get a deal by week's end. We had a very spirited discussion at our lunch, passionate, strong, and there was universal agreement in that room. We have to come to an agreement, and we got to get it done and want to get it done this week. The Democratic leader said there would be multiple meetings with different players to reach a deal on framework. There's a lot of meetings going on, Schumer said. There will be all kinds of meetings together and separately to get this done. But the pace has picked up. The desire to get it done is strong. So Sanders and Manchin met for the first time this week Monday night after a vote on the circuit court judge. So, what exactly is going to happen? I'm not 100% sure. So when they say that they're going to get a deal done this week, most likely, I don't think that they really mean that the legislation is going to be written out in detail. I think that what that probably means is they will agree on general things that will be included in the bill and the general framework of the bill. But it probably won't be printed and actually ready to go through. But again, you have the worry of this, is it Joe Biden putting pressure on Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin to come to the table and to an agreement? That's honestly, I would say, a very probable hypothesis in this situation. But again, I definitely have a fear that Bernie Sanders is in a position now where he's going to compromise. And, hopefully the number is as high as possible. Ideally they don't sway from that $3.5 trillion dollar number. And hopefully we can get the best options out of the potential, child tax credit and, various regulations on climate change and drug, negotiation powers. Those are all things that would be very nice to be in the bill. But Joe Manchin has an vested interest financially in a bunch of stuff, a bunch of fossil fuels, essentially. So that's kind of what he's doing right now. But, I'll keep you guys up to date on this. Some very interesting stuff going on behind closed doors. We can see their expressions in person, and it's quite bewildering, and we're only going to find out with time.